It's Scott Bywater here, and I want to talk about how to build relationships with your existing customers and prospects with a physical newsletter. And some people will say, well, why create a physical newsletter? And I guess there's a few things to mention here. Number one, it's 5 times easier to sell to an existing customer than it is to get a new customer. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that most customers leave out of negligence, or they just forget about you. I'm sure if you think back and you think of a time when perhaps you dealt with a plumber, or you had someone who came and see you, and they didn't keep in touch with you. You never heard from them again. How do you remember them? I can think of a plumber that I've used in the past, and he did a really, really good job, but I've forgotten who he was. And that's what's going to happen to you if you don't keep in touch and just stay in the face of your existing customers, because they're the easiest ones to sell to. You're staying in the top of mind awareness. And maybe think back to how many professionals you've forgotten, or of anything, of any product or service that you've dealt with before. You thought they did a pretty good job, but then you forgot about them. And this will really just incite, because one of the best ways to grasp the concept, the concepts I'm sharing, is to put yourself in the customer's shoes and notice how you feel as a customer, or how you experience as a customer, and then you'll get how your customers will get it. I really understood this and grasped this in terms of client management. In the early days, I think I wasn't very good with with working with clients, and then I actually started to become the client as my business grew, and I started to outsource things to virtual assistants and web designers and that sort of thing. I noticed how I felt when my web designer or my virtual assistants responded in a certain way. And I made sure that when I felt bad, or I felt stuff that they did didn't make me feel or didn't cement the relationship or strengthen the relationship, that I didn't do that sort of thing when I was working with my clients. So that was a really invaluable lesson. That's what I encourage you to do with everything that I'm sharing with you. So the other question is, why send a physical newsletter? Why not just send an email newsletter? And this is a valid question, and I guess the biggest reason for this is that email newsletters tend not to get a huge open rate. If you have a look at, and I want you to ask this question again. This is again putting yourself in the customer's shoes. What percentage of emails do you open yourself? So what percentage of emails you open? Now, so if I sent you an email, how likely would you be to open it? Now I'll ask you another question. What percentage of letters that you receive in the mail do you open? So what percentage of mail do you open? And my guess is that it's much, much higher when it comes to mail. Or there's a much, much higher likelihood that you're going to open it when it comes to mail. So that's where mail is really, really powerful. It's just that it's going to get more eyeballs. People tend to read stuff more often than it's mailed to them. So you might mail to 500 customers and get let's say 400 people read your newsletter, or you might email to them and get 100 people read your newsletter, 150 people to read your newsletter, and the people who read your mail are much more likely to read through it in detail. I know I certainly would. I'd sit at home and I'd read it, whereas I wouldn't do that with an email. I'd give it a quick look, a quick glance. If it didn't grab me straight away, it's gone, sort of thing. So now there's a guy called Joe Girard. And Joe Girard was the greatest car salesman of all time. It was in the Guinness Book of Records and all that sort of all that sort of thing. And now, if you've got any doubt into the power of this, regular contact, stay in touch with your target market, that sort of thing. Joe Girard's story is a really good one to live by. Now Joe, whenever he made a sale or made a contact, so he made a sale to an existing customer, every single month, every single month from then on in, he would write them a card. And his card, which I personally wouldn't do or recommend, but what he used to write it, he'd say, hi Scott, I like you, Joe Girard. That's what he would write. So he'd just go, and the next month he'd have something else. Hi Scott, I like you, Joe Girard. And that's all he would say. So he'd just continually be in the face. But he literally had, and if you actually read the book that this is from is How to Sell Anything to Anybody. And if you read through that book, you'll discover that many of Joe Girard's techniques when he's as a salesman, a lot of it came down. He was obviously a great salesman as well, but a lot of his success came down to his marketing and the way he used it. Used his marketing funnel was incredibly powerful. So that's something just to keep in mind, is that regular contact. And he would literally have people lined outside of his at the car yard where he sold cars. He'd have customers literally lined up. Because he was so good at using this technique. So think about it, consider it. If you're going to send out, junk mail to your to get new customers, why not invest a little bit into a physical newsletter to your existing customers? Because your existing customers can be very, very valuable to you. They can be incredibly valuable to you. Because think about it, how much do you actually pay if you really sat down and thought about how much you actually paid to get that customer, to get a customer on board in the first place? I think you'd discover that you paid, you shelled out a significant amount to get that customer on board in the first place. And so, and take into account, your advertising costs, your market, so your advertising costs. Let's just say, you sent out, you send out 1,000 letters, or you run a Google AdWords campaign, and it costs you $50 to get a lead. And out of 50 leads, you convert 1 in 10. So it's costing you about $500 to, so you're converting 1 in 10, so it's costing you $500. But take this into account as well. It's also taking 2 hours of your salesperson's time at $50 an hour to convert that sale. So we're looking at, let's say $600 a sale. Obviously, it's going to vary for every different type of business. But in the hypothetical case that it's $600 a sale, what do you need to do to more than likely get them back and build that relationship with and increase the amount of those people who are coming back? All you need to do, and it's very, very simple, is invest $1. Okay, so invest $1 with them on so invest $1 a month to keep them. $12 a year. $12 a year. So let's say they've cost $600 to get this client on board. All you need to do is invest $12 a year to stay in their face and to build that relationship with them. Even if you did that for 50 years, okay, so because $12 a year times 50, so it's $1 to send out each newsletter. We're using that as a figure, times 50, so you can afford to send that for 50 times. And do you think that you would have a higher odds of getting that customer back to buy again than you would for less than $600 than you would to get a new customer, outright out of the blue? A very good question to ask yourself, because that's all it's taking. So even if you could send this to 50 customers. And if you send it to 50 customers, just a physical offline newsletter, number one, you're probably going to attract, you're going to get back a better customer because they already like you and trust you. But number two, the costs are much lower to get that existing customer back. I believe that you will find, because you're building the trust. And the other thing that this sort of thing does is it builds the depth of the relationship. I know I actually create a 16-page newsletter. It's a paid newsletter that I use that I send out on a month-to-month basis. And to my best clients, to my A+ clients, those 3 or 4 clients who generate the most revenue for my business. So 3 or 4 clients who are worth, who are 66% of my revenue when it comes to the 80-20 sort of scenario. With those clients, I send them this 16-page newsletter, and at no charge. And what I find that it does is it increases my credibility with them, because I'm educating them and I'm demonstrating my knowledge on a month-to-month basis. So I'm demonstrating my knowledge and I'm demonstrating, what I know on a month-to-month basis, and they're reading through this, and it's generating more trust in my ability and my credibility, and that sort of thing when they read through this newsletter. So this is what this process can do for you. Once you start to implement it. So what I would suggest, though, is that you don't need to send out a 16-page newsletter. I'm only doing that because it's a paid newsletter. It takes me a long time to create that newsletter. I would suggest you rather do a 2 or 4-page newsletter, just something really simple that you can put together. To help you get more customers, I'm giving away a free gift to everyone who watches this video. It's a brand new guide called 7 Ways to Get More Traffic and Customers, which includes a swag of cheat sheets for getting results fast. Download it for free by clicking the link in the description below this video or visiting moretrafficandcustomers.com.